Hey everyone, my name is Cory and I'm the founder and CEO of TrustCentric Consulting. Thanks for joining us today. I want to talk to you about something that is really important to me, and it's important to me personally, vocationally, as well as educationally. And let me start by telling you a story. I was hired many years ago as a manager to come in and help a team get things back into order for this particular organization. And on the first day, as I walked into the office that was disorganized, there were papers everywhere, the desks were kind of strewn all about, my boss looked at me, literally threw me the keys to all of the offices and the desk drawers, and there was this big stack of keys. She threw me the keys and said, "Call me if you need anything," and she left. And there I was, left with this stack of keys, a staff that was in deep need of leadership. And it was at that point that I realized that I needed a 90-day plan. I needed something that would allow me to on-ramp into this organization in order for me to be effective at what I was supposed to be doing. And it was not only for me that I needed, it was also for those who I was working with, my staff and the customers that we served. And so that launched me into a lot of research. And as a part of my executive MBA program at Rockhurst University here in Kansas City, I chose to do my master's thesis on 90-day onboarding plans for managers, for leaders. And through that process, I found some very interesting things. And one of the most staggering things that I found is that the vast majority of organizations do not have sound 90-day onboarding plans. Many organizations have what is called an orientation program, but very few organizations, in fact, according to a recent Gallup poll, only 12% of organizations have an effective 90-day onboarding plan. An onboarding plan does several things. Of course, it includes all of the elements of an orientation program, all of the necessary policies and procedures, practices, all the paperwork needed in order to get an employee oriented to the organization. But that is just one small element of a 90-day onboarding plan. The other reason why this is so important to me is that personally, when I realized that I was not going to be equipped with a 90-day onboarding plan, it immediately brought stress into my already stressful transition into this new job. And the stress and anxiety did nothing to really help move me through those first 90 days. And quite frankly, I was just scrambling to get through it. And I was building the plane as I was flying it, so to speak. And this personal anxiety is something that a lot of people feel in their first 90 days. In fact, I read recently that 33% of employees actually quit within their first 90 days. That is just a staggering number to me. And then the other thing that is just very important to me vocationally is that as I've built out a 90-day onboarding plan model, and as I've implemented that with my employees that I've brought into organizations in which I serve, I notice a significant difference. These individuals, they feel more empowered, they feel more valued, they feel like they can contribute right away, and they are able to do the three things that I believe are most important for every 90-day onboarding plan. And so here are the three things. The first thing is that a 90-day onboarding plan that is effective is going to give the new employee the proper priorities for them to work on. The temptation of every new employee, myself included, when I have been new to organizations, is I want to make everything the priority. And when everything is the priority, of course, we've heard it said, nothing is the priority. So it's really important with a 90-day onboarding plan that week by week, we are able to assign various priorities that the new employee may say, I want to work on that priority this week, but the supervisor needs to be able to say, wait a minute, that actually is not that important to do right now. We want to wait until 5, 6, 7 weeks down the road before we focus in on that priority. The next thing that's really important with a 90-day onboarding plan, in addition to the prioritization of tasks, is the pace in which an employee should be working. Now, this probably will sound a little bit counterintuitive, but the most effective 90-day onboarding plans that I've implemented with new team members, I've actually only assigned out about 15 to 20 hours of tasks each week. And so those 15 to 20 hours, of course, they get filled up. We may think that we want to schedule 30 to 35 hours of tasks, but in reality, between meeting new people, meetings that pop up, new tasks, or tasks that take longer than what we anticipated, that 15 to 20 hours per week can easily move into 30, 35, 40 hours per week. So we've given them the proper priorities for them to work on. We've also given them the proper pace in which we want them to be working at. And then the third very, very important thing that I found with the onboarding plans that I've developed and the framework that I developed in my executive MBA program is that you need to ensure that the new employee is the owner of the 90-day onboarding plan. So what that means is that the first few weeks, of course, will be built out. You can do it in a spreadsheet form. You can build this out, go week by week. You're assigning the priorities, you're assigning the pace, but then the owner of that document needs to be the new employee. And so that new employee is able to bring that document with them to every weekly meeting with their supervisor. And as they do that, this becomes really a working document. It becomes basically a project plan for them to get through their 90 days. And so those three things, the priority of what that new employee needs to be working on, the pace in which they are working, and then third, ownership, so that this new employee can demonstrate a competency of taking ownership in the tasks that they have been assigned to do. So those three things. Now, here's the cool part about a 90-day onboarding plan. At the beginning of the 90-day onboarding plan, it's really, really important for the hiring manager to communicate to the new employee that in 90 days, we're going to use this 90-day onboarding plan as our opportunity to look back and evaluate how have you done? How have you done with the priorities that have been assigned to you? How have you done with keeping pace with or maintaining pace with the things that we've asked you to do? And then third, what is the level of ownership that you have demonstrated over the past 90 days? Because we know that the pace and the priority and the ownership of the first 90 days is going to be indicative of what that new employee is going to contribute to the organization further on. Here's the great part about 90-day onboarding plans. It's been said that up to 70% of people who have experienced very good onboarding plans stay with the organization at least 3 years. Almost 70%. It's a surefire way to prevent somebody from getting fired or for someone to prevent them from leaving the organization within the first 90 days. So a couple of next steps for you as you think about this and why a 90-day onboarding plan is so important. You can develop a very simple spreadsheet, a Google Doc that can be shared with this new employee that you have visibility in. You want to meet with them weekly as the new hiring supervisor. You want to make sure that you're communicating this as a working document, something that is fluid, that is intended to be building over the course of the 90 days. At the beginning of the 90 days, it's important to communicate that at the end of the 90 days, there will be a formal 90-day review. This formal 90-day review will allow you to evaluate formally this new employee to see whether or not they should move forward with your organization. And if you execute the 90-day plan, you have done what you need to do to equip them and on-ramp them effectively into your organization. And last thing that I'll share with you, the great part about the model of a 90-day onboarding plan is that it's the same exact model and could be the same time frame that you may want to use for an employee who could perhaps be struggling that you need to implement a performance improvement plan. So you can pull out that same template to assign them pace, priority, and ownership that for the next 90 days, they need to prove that they are competent in. And as they demonstrate that, that will allow them to move through the performance improvement plan and change some of the ways that they are working so that they can stay at your organization and contribute as long as possible. This is just one of the ways in which TrustCentric comes alongside organizations. Be sure to check out our website, www.trustcentricconsulting.com, to learn more about the solutions that we provide. And every organizational and leadership development solution that we provide starts with trust. So if you're interested in an organizational trust assessment, executive coaching, or any of the other solutions that we provide, look us up at trustcentricconsulting.com. Also, be sure to like and subscribe and share this information with whoever you would like in your network so that you can encourage them to build trust through effective organizational and leadership development opportunities. Thanks very much for tuning in.